it's looking like a good year ahead. We've got a lot lined up already, and as you said, our podcast has been nominated for a Sprudgie, which is quite cool. Episode 12, man. Here we go.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
It's an honor to be involved in a coffee podcast that's been nominated for this, and a coffee business that's been nominated for a Sprudgie. Looking forward to actually winning it.
Dude, I didn't even know they knew who we are. Like, it's pretty wild to be nominated. When I looked at the list, I actually read past all the names and then went back and only saw it the second time round. So it was such a pleasant surprise. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Coffee Made Me Do It podcast. My name's Dario Shiliporti and I am going to be hosting most, if not all, of these episodes. Today I'm sitting with Fanie and Luhle, two of my team members at Bluebird Coffee Roastery, and we're going to be talking about how we finished up 2023 and some of the initial goals we have set for 2024. I'm really excited about this chat. One of the things we'll be talking about is one of the greatest honors we've achieved as a business to date, which is to be nominated for a Sprudgie. If you're not familiar with what a Sprudgie is, it's a set of awards given out by the company Sprudgie, one of the biggest media houses in coffee globally, and we are very privileged to be nominated in the category of Best Coffee Podcast. So for those of you who are listening here and supporting us on this channel, thank you so much. Thank you for nominating us. And now I need to ask you a favor. If you're listening to this before the 29th of January 2024, please head to the link in our bio or in the description of this podcast and give us a vote. It's a very quick process and we'd really appreciate it. It's a huge opportunity for us to actually win a Sprudgie, which would be wild. I hope you enjoy this episode, and here are Fanie and Luhle. Hey Fanie, did we just record a podcast?
We just recorded a podcast, dude.
I am thrilled that is the opening line of episode 1 of the first podcast we ever put out. And then it didn't feel like a massive thing, but now looking back, this will be our 12th episode. It feels pretty cool, especially having just been nominated for a Sprudgie, but more about that just now. Luhle, fans, thanks for joining me. I'm really excited to kick the year off as a team on this channel, and what a year it's lining up to be.
Yeah, man, it's looking like a good year ahead. We've got a lot lined up already, and as you said, our podcast has been nominated for a Sprudgie, which is quite cool. Episode 12, man. Here we go.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Luhle, when did you become aware of what a Sprudgie actually is?
Dude, quite early on in my coffee career, to be fair, and it was through a cafe I was looking at in LA that had recently won it at that time, and quickly realized it's quite a big deal for us in coffee, and it's an honor to be involved in a coffee podcast that's been nominated for this, and a coffee business that's been nominated for a Sprudgie. Looking forward to actually winning it.
Dude, I didn't even know they knew who we are. Like, it's pretty wild to be nominated. When I looked at the list, I actually read past all the names and then went back and only saw it the second time round. So it was such a pleasant surprise. But the reason it's such a big deal is because we're pretty isolated out here in South Africa. And not only South Africa, most South African coffee enthusiasts can't understand why we're in Howick, South Africa. Small town, very isolated. But what I figured out a long time ago is that 99% of the coffee that we roast is going to be shipped away from wherever we are. So why not base yourself somewhere beautiful and then ship to the people, And I am very grateful for the nomination, and flip, if we pull off a win, it'll be pretty magical. I remember walking into Substance Cafe in Paris, and they had won Best New Cafe, I think. They had won a Sprudgie for that. And I looked at the little plaque, and I was like, ooh, do I dare dream that big one day that we could be nominated or win one? So it's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, the relationships that we've built over the years have led to, I think, very valuable content on our podcast. And yeah, it's super, super cool to be at this point in the journey for the business and as a team. Looking forward to hearing the results, man.
Oh, it's been pretty wild. So at the end of last year, we were nominated for 4 Coffee Magazine Awards in South Africa. And the Coffee Mag Awards is our only and certainly the most prominent coffee-related awards in South Africa. We've been fortunate to be nominated every year since I started Bluebird. And we've won 4 out of 5 years, which is amazing. I can't quite believe it. I can because I know that what we're doing, but it's a huge honor. So we were nominated as a business, actually, for 3 categories. And then Luhle, you were nominated in your personal capacity as Trainer of the Year, which is amazing. Congratulations. We ended up walking away with Best Alternative Brewing Experience for our cafe, which is one of the award categories I've always thought, would be relevant for our business, because we're so focused on our coffee menu, and we do have an extensive freezer menu, and it's very cool. And for me, the award is like, it's almost like the final step in all the work we do as a roastery. To have the menu we have, to have the experience that we can give people, means that there's work going on from a farmer and producer level and relationship level, through our green sourcing, through our roasting, through our brewing, and that's sort of the last step. So very, very proud of that. And Fans, you got to go up to Joburg to go and receive the award. How was the ceremony?
Dude, yeah, it was quite cool. I mean, the Coffee Magazine always puts on a great shindig. It's always a lot of fun to go and hang out and talk shop at these events, and also to see, all of the professionals that we don't often get to interact with, and also like just get our ears on the ground with regards to like what people perceive from what we're doing out here in the middle of nowhere. I got to dress up and get all fancy, and then get up on stage and give a little speech. Man, it was quite cool. I was very proud to represent the business, obviously. And I think it's a very, very cool award for us to win. As you said, it is the final step in our process. It really is the culmination of all of the hard work that we represent from origin all the way through to the roasting and brewing of the coffee. And yeah, man, it was a very, very cool experience to have.
And then obviously Luhle being nominated for Trainer of the Year. This is, I would say, last year you wore many hats. You ended 2022 as barista / cafe manager, transitioned into full-on cafe manager, and helped the cafe get to where it is today, which is including winning, alternative brewing experience. And then transitioned into training and wholesale manager. You've worn many hats, you've worn them all well. And we're obviously very proud of your achievement. Why do you feel that training is like such an important part of the coffee industry?
Well, just touching on the role thing, and I think it's a funny thing when people ask me what I do at Bluebird. I just say I do things at Bluebird. That's fair enough. I just, but yeah, man, it's an honor. It was a shock, to be honest with you. It's not something I had on my radar, especially since I've only started training at this volume this past year in 2023. And it's been like a Kickstarter year into our training center, as we've built this training center with a new building. And it's been, very, very cool to start that off. But the recognition was something that was not in my radar at all. So it's quite an honor to see that people are recognizing the work that we're doing at Bluebird and myself as a trainer. So again, very, very appreciative of those who nominated me, and congrats to Hayley Arenza, who won the award. Very, very deserved. She's been a barista trainer for many years out in Origin in Cape Town. So to be nominated next to people like her is such an honor, and certainly training going forward is going to be a big part of the work that I do and the work that we do as a business. Coffee education is very important, and at the level that we do things at the roastery, I think sharing that knowledge is one of the things that's going to be key in growing the awareness of what we do. So through training's
already opened some cool doors to you. At the end of last year, we also assisted Taylor, Willow, and Yaz to open a specialty cafe in Mauritius, a small island off the east coast of Africa. And in the process of them opening, you got to go over for a week and help them set up shop, get their workflow right, do some training with their team, and essentially help them to launch their cafe. A huge success, already surpassed all expectations, and it must have been an amazing experience for you.
Dude, it was incredible. Working with the guys has been such a cool build up as well. Before that, we initially met Taylor 2 years ago now. It's wild to say, but having met them through the business at the cafe as my role as a barista there, and eventually now to the point where we're training and opening shops with them is a very cool progression that we've had. And it shows kind of in that space of time the growth we've had as individuals in the business and the growth we've had as a business as a whole. Yeah, man, it was a lovely, lovely time, and the guys have kitted out the shop with beautiful equipment, and they just amped to be there and running a coffee business, which is very cool to see. Like, they are privileged to be in a position where coffee for them is a way to express so many things that they want to do as individuals, and they're using that as a driving force to do that. So it's pretty cool to see. So yeah, shout out Taylor, Yaz, and Willow out there in Mauritius right now.
Kind Coffee, if you want to follow them on Instagram. I've already spoken to them. When I finally make it out there to go visit, we'll definitely be recording an episode of this podcast. Willow is actually a professional kiteboarder, and Taylor is an exceptional kiteboarder who probably could have gone pro from what I understand, but chose to pursue other avenues. And Yaz is a chef who currently works for one of the richest men in the world as his chef on his mega yacht. So pretty wild. They can't tell us who he is. I really, really want to know. So guesses are welcome.
The stories are very cool, I must say. Can't be shared on the platform, but
apparently he loves SL28 from Vulcan Azul.
Guys got taste, man.
Yeah.
Everybody loves SL28 from Vulcan.
This is very true. I'm depressed because we finished roasting it already.
Yeah, that's actually insane, man. Most of that coffee that we received this year is in flipping. Well, it has now been finished, but it was sent to Germany to Sweet Spot, who will be another episode of this podcast. Old Marcus.
Yeah, man. I'm recording with him on Sunday. I can't wait, dude. This time last year, I was having cold sweats, concerned about our coffee program because we had finished. I mean, this is a little bit of behind the scenes of running a specialty roastery where we're importing the vast majority of our higher quality coffees ourselves. And at the beginning of last year, we were in a position where we spent every single cent we had as a business on completing our building. We went over time, over budget, had to buy so much equipment to launch the cafe in the new space, that we were delayed in our green buying, which should have started at the end of 2022 for the season ahead. We actually only got started in about February, even later than that in 2023. So what ended up happening is we just had the narrowest menu I think we've ever had since I started the business, and it was flipping depressing. People were still loving the coffee because they were good. I mean, Bumbogo Natural went all around the world, Fons. Yeah, man. Best milky of the year, I think.
Yeah, to give like some insights into like what we had available from a special release perspective, I think at that stage we had finished the SL28 from Vulcan Azul from the past crop here, and I think the only coffees that we had in the roastery were the Immaculata Sudan Rumez, the two different variants of that coffee, one of which I was competing with at Nationals, and the other coffee that we had was Pepe, who coincidentally has also been nominated for a Sprudgie as I think it's a notable producer. We had a few coffees from old Pepe, another of which I competed with, and I think we only had very, very small amounts of those coffees left because we had already released them to start developing the profiles.
And those types of coffees are pretty easy for us to access because normally they're extremely small, very, very expensive lots, and we can air freight them over. The big gap in our menu was actually the middle section, everything from the very expensive coffees down to our blends. And at one point, I think we had pretty much only Rwandan and Burundi coffees in the roastery. And although they were tasting great, it was just like so little variation. And we still ended up with an amazing 2023 of coffee. Like we just got so much great coffee in shortly thereafter from our Kenyans this last season, which were as good as they've ever been, to some new relationships in Colombia, including La Palma, which were, we still have that coffee on our menu now. It's absolutely exceptional. But the feeling that I'm filled with right now is excitement for the year ahead because we were already starting with the deepest menu I think we've ever had. And the year ahead is looking significantly better even from a green buying perspective. got some really great lineups of Ethiopian options for the year ahead, which we missed out on last season because our producer partner in Ethiopia kind of disappeared on us, and we skipped a whole season of Ethiopian coffee in our midsection. We still have our Geisha Village lot. But yeah, it's just exciting. It's really, for me, it's an exciting way to start the year as the green buyer for Bluebird. Conversations are already underway for shipments to come early this year, which is very exciting. And for our subscribers especially, oh boy, you are in for a treat.
As per usual.
Favorite coffee in the roastery right now, Luhle?
Ooh, a bit biased. I think the La Palma. It's just a very flavorful, super complex coffee. This is now in the mid-range section of how we define the levels of the coffees at the roastery, but the bias comes from the fact that it's my regionals competition coffee. So
the fact that it's a mid-level coffee right now is pretty bonkers.
It's pretty wild. So even saying that it's a mid-range coffee, it's feels disrespectful, but it is at the size of the lots that it is. It's great that there's these kind of coffees out there to buy for us and be at a pretty accessible price point for our consumers as well. So very excited about the La Palma right now.
Fonz, I think your favorite coffee in the roastery now is He Who Must Not Be Named.
Yeah, he who must not be named. That is definitely an amazing coffee. Yes, but I also think that we have some absolutely incredible mid-tier coffees, thanks to the work that we put in last year. As Luhle said, the La Palma is tasting absolutely incredible. It's an awesome coffee, and you guys know that I've got a very, very soft spot for some nice, funky, experimental coffees. To contrast that, though, I think my favorite coffee in the roastery, which we haven't had a lot of recently because it has been featuring on our menu for a while, is the El Socorro Geisha from Diego at El Socorro in Guatemala, which, it's an absolutely awesome washed geisha. It's the first washed geisha that we released as a business, I believe. And it is... dare I say, the best washed geisha that I have ever tasted.
Well, I wouldn't be too surprised. I don't think that's that bold of a statement to make because it did win Cup of Excellence last year. But you don't expect that from Guatemala necessarily. So that's very cool.
For certain. And I think another coffee to highlight is the Kamwangi AA.
Dude, I was going to say, I'm going to bore you guys with my answer because good old Kamwangi AA is still... my go-to coffee for a filter in the morning. It's just so good.
Oh, you were going to end up talking about all of the coffees on the menu now, but another coffee that I've been absolutely loving is Volcan Azul's H1 varietal. It's a coffee
yet to be released on the web store, but it's gone out to our subscribers.
Yes, for certain. We also shipped a considerable amount of it to Sweet Spot, so some of our European listeners might have tasted this coffee. I have been very excited personally about this coffee because I remember having a conversation with somebody about it, and I think Scott Rao actually spoke about watermelon as a flavor note, and how he has never actually tasted coffee with watermelon flavor notes. And I kind of stood on that hill for quite a while, and I remember the first cupping of these Volcan Azul coffees, I had been on leave, and you guys had to cup without me because we had to make selections, and you had saved me some coffee to cup with you later in that week, and we tasted that coffee and I was like, wow, this tastes absolutely incredible. On the first pass, it was like, we have these, I guess, kiddie sweets bubblegum in South Africa called Chappies. And they come in these little paper wrappers. The purple Chappie, which is a grape flavor. And on the second pass, when I came back, it was the most clear watermelon flavor note that I had ever tasted. It's kind of like almost like an artificial watermelon flavor note. We had these little sweets called sour bombs when I was younger. When I was a kid, they were these like powder covered sour sweets. If you got all of the powder off, the watermelon sour bomb tasted exactly like the H1 taste. And we roasted it now a couple times, number one for Sweet Spots, and we've sent it out in the subscription box. And that is an absolutely amazing coffee. Another like varietal that has recently gained some prominence. I know April have an H1 from Volcan Azul on their menu, and I've seen it around in a few other roasteries. Another very exciting coffee to look forward to for our retail buyers in 2023.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
2024, goodness.
I didn't even click, man. Someone said, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and he said, what are your goals for 2014? Obviously making a mistake. I didn't even flinch. I didn't realize he had made a mistake. I can't believe we're in 2024, but that's probably just a sign of what's probably the roadmap to my gray hair. So here we are, man. I'm so excited. Just a little aside, and a thank you to all of our listeners. You mentioned Sweet Spot and the European listeners. I counted the other day, I think we're up to like 32 or 33 different countries, or listeners in 32 or 33 different countries now to this podcast. So thank you very much. If I remember correctly, the latest country to join us from a listening perspective is Croatia. So welcome to our listeners in Croatia. It's a privilege to have you guys here. So guys, the main topic for today's conversation is actually going to be around awards and recognition and competition, because not only have we been privileged to win an award at the end of last year and be nominated for a Sprudgie now, we're also a week and a bit away from the beginning of our 2024 Barista Competition season. And if you've listened to a few of these podcasts, you'll know that competition is something that is really valuable and of interest and priority for us as a business. And both of you are competing this year, which is really, really exciting. Heading into the regionals, you have already built your sets. Coffees are tasting amazing. Your actual competition coffees have already been roasted and they're resting and ready to go for the 27th of Jan. First of all, what are your goals and expectations for the regional competition in Jan? And then beyond that, looking at nationals and beyond. Luhle, let's start with you in your first competition season. How are you feeling?
Yeah, dude, feeling confident. I mean, it's definitely nerve-wracking that I'm going to be competing for the first time now in about 10 days. But I think I'm at a spot where now I'm embracing that nervousness around competition to just build confidence around it. And I've set pretty good goals for myself for this first cycle.
They say the butterflies don't have to go away. You just got to get the butterflies to fly in formation.
Man, that's the one. Exactly. But yeah, man, feeling amped. Have big goals. I feel they're big. I think in our goal setting podcast episode that we had a couple of months ago, I had initially said that the plan is to get to finals of nationals. So that's the next round of the regionals, to those who don't know the progression of competition. So yeah, my plan obviously is to make it through through regionals, going into nationals, and making finals of nationals. And yeah, like I said, I think based on experience of others and just seeing how it normally goes, it is a pretty big goal. A lot of seasoned competitors on their first cycle, that is not the reality. But I think to build that confidence and to build a set that I'm happy with, I need to set those goals. So yeah, man, I think the overall theme here is confidence and just happy to be there and talk about what we do and what I do in coffee.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I think you've got a very good chance of making it through, having watched your initial prep runs of your set, and I'm looking forward to more practice over the next 10 days. I mean, we only found out about the date about a week ago, so exciting times. Too much prep is not good. A little bit more than this might have been nice.
Might have been nice, but we are here now. It's a weird season in which it came through as well for us. Obviously, beginning of the year, there's a lot of things happening at the roastery, and the reality for a lot of us who compete is that we have work and roles to do within the business, and we have to carve out hours after. And I think we privileged, Fanie and I, to work in a business that prioritizes competition the way it does, to be able to work on our sets during work hours. But it doesn't change that there's communication to be done, there's training to be done, and but yeah, like you said, it is what it is. More prep would have been appreciated.
Vance, how are you feeling, bro? I know you've just rebuilt your entire set, but you're already dialed.
Yeah, dude. Going into regionals, again, I'm feeling very fortunate to be in this position where we have excellent coffees to work with, and we have a business and a support structure that is like such a vast support structure and such a strong support structure from our peers, our coworkers, and from the business itself. Obviously, it puts us in a very, very good position. I'm feeling quietly confident. It's been a few years. I was talking to my brother this morning about, he asked me, when's the first time you compete? And I was like, wow, it's been 7 years. So this is my 7th year in the competition circuit in South Africa. So I've gone through every iteration of what we've seen with regards to competition in this country over the last 7 years. And I'm just excited to get the first round out of the way, man. It's been close to a year since the last time we got to step on stage, and generally more practice at the thing means you get better at the thing. And I think we focused on competition a lot over the last 2 years. We spent some time in Athens last year watching the World Barista Championships, also engaging with competitors there and with producers, as well as being able to get a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look into the trials and tribulations of a world championship competitor. So going into a competition season this year, for me, I'm looking forward to just putting my best foot forward, executing a really good set. And then, the results will be the results. Obviously, our goal is to win nationals this year, as it will be for the next few years. And whether that happens or not, I am very, very keen to show what I have learned, show the ideas that I have been working on over the last year. And just happy to be here, man.
That's epic. I'm so excited. We've been speaking a lot about like the expectation for the year ahead, and let's see what 2024 has for us, because the one thing we as a team could never be accused of is not working hard enough. We're a very, very hard-working small team, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm fired up for the year ahead. I think one of the questions that comes to mind, and I'm sure would be, not front of mind necessarily, but would be a question that a lot of our listeners would have, would be, what is the relevance to us as a business when it comes to these awards that we get nominated for and win, and then competition? Is it a pursuit of external validation? Is it something that we have very like conscious expectations for every year? And it's actually a really, really weird one for me personally. And maybe I'll just kick this little segment off, because I would like to say, so my view on owning business and running businesses is I want to build something that lasts for the long term. That is definitely the goal here. I have 2 young kids, and if they have any interest in coffee or in business in general, there's so many areas of coffee that you can explore. It could be marketing, it could be content creation, it could be anything. I would love for them to have an opportunity to step into a business that is successful and financially fit. So we're making decisions for the long term is basically what I'm trying to say. So what is the relevance of an award in 2023 when you're thinking about 5 decades from now? And I know logically that it shouldn't be as important as what it feels like in the month of nominations and then leading up to the awards. So for me personally, it is definitely like an important thing. I don't know why. The recognition, the validation. I think there's a saying about recognition that grown men die for it and babies cry for it. People get awards to be recognized, and babies will cry for any attention. But to us, I think we are definitely thinking beyond that. Certainly I'm thinking beyond that. But there is a level of credibility that comes from a few awards here and there. So it is very nice. From a competition perspective, for me, it's just a proof of quality, and it's also a learning opportunity. It's the last few years of competition has definitely shaped the way that we're approaching our roasting, and pushes us to move in the direction we have always been moving in, which is excellence, and pursuit of excellence. I'd like to just get your guys' view on, sure, the awards definitely, and we've spoken about this a little bit already, but also from a personal and business point of view, like what relevance the competition season has for us. Yeah,
dude, I think so to speak to personal motivations and what these things mean to me personally, I think over the last few years, again, we've been very fortunate to work with incredible coffees and to have a great support structure. I always approached coffee competition specifically with like the approach or with the mindset that if I do well in this, if I am able to win nationals or win my regionals or, place really high, I will get recognized by my industry. People will respect me for my achievements. And what I've realized over the last few years is that you don't need to win to do that. I think that in any competition, there's only one winner, but there is not only one good performance, right? Just because you lost in the final doesn't mean that you're not an excellent team, an excellent player, an excellent competitor. And I think that the cool thing is that the industry recognizes that too. And we have gained a lot of respect simply by doing things the way that we do it. And so that box kind of gets ticked. Like from a motivation perspective, I think though the big thing that these awards mean to us as a business is it's a mark of trust, right? It validates your product, it validates your ideas, and it validates the way you do things. The best way to build trust with somebody who does not know you is to have to be vetted by your peers. In science journals get peer reviewed, papers get peer reviewed, and these papers then get published based on those reviews, right? If the people in the industry recognize the work that you're doing and give it the thumbs up, that kind of creates a level of trust even in somebody who has not interacted with your business or your product, which I think is very, very cool. Another thing that I think these things do for us as professionals and us as people, it is quite motivating when your name gets called and you're like, oh wow, we are recognized by our peers for doing these things. It is a motivational factor. It allows us to kind of like sit back and say, okay, cool, this hard work has not been for nothing. Because especially when you're in the trenches and you're slugging it out, and you're at the, you've still got 25 batches to finish in subs day, and then you have to pack all the bags and put the bags into boxes, put the labels on the boxes. It can get kind of overwhelming, and you can kind of like feel a little bit deflated by the task ahead of you, right? Because at the end of the day, as you said, we're building for the long term. The mountain that we're climbing does not have a summit, right? We're just going to keep going. And when you have these little small milestones and these small markers, it's just like it's a pat on the back. It's a few words of encouragement on your journey. And sometimes that's all you need as a professional, as a business, to feel re-energized and feel inspired to do better. Because I think that, as I said, the mountain does not have a summit. We're not getting closer to the end. This is an infinite game, And these little milestones are great little platforms to jump from this point, from, let's say, third place at nationals last year. Then we got nominated for the Coffee Mag Awards, and it's these great little platforms to jump to as we go up this infinite ladder. And it feels like we're reaching certain destinations and certain milestones as professionals and as a business.
That's really cool. I always think of like KPIs or indicators in any business, and I remember years ago, someone I really respect in business said to me that your financial position right now is like a snapshot of your present state, but there are other indicators that you need to look at which can predict the future. And those things are harder to quantify. And I completely agree with you that mark of approval or whatever you want to call it from your peers is always fantastic. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, man, I think adding on to that point, I think competition also as a business and as individuals in the business serves as reference points of what we've been able to achieve at a certain point and what is next after that, year on. And I think as a business, we've always established the fact that we want to be leading in each department, whether the fact that it's training, whether it's competition, whether it's sourcing green coffee, roasting coffee. In each department of what we do within our business, we want to be the leaders of that. And I think competition, again, validates that for us, because it's the sourcing of the green coffee and the roasting of the coffee and the brewing of the coffee that is presented on stage that creates this big validation point for us to look back onto and propel ourselves after that. And I think right now, like, I've thought of cool sports analogies around that we've had in many decades now, of teams that have built up to a certain point where they've reached their peak. But if you look back on years before that, it's the getting of academy players, or putting in new facilities in the training ground, or Fanie and I are big sports fans in like basketball and football. And I think those make great analogies and teams that we've seen in the past. And I think we can look at it in the same way of, for us to reach a certain level or to create some sort of legacy, there needs to be reference points around that story that we can look back on and say, these were the defining moments. And winning nationals is a defining moment in our individual careers as coffee professionals, and as a business, the same thing as well. So that's what competition serves for us as a business. And I think it's certainly something that gives us purpose and is quite fulfilling. And yeah, I think that's a very cool way to look at competition and the relevance of it.
If I can jump in here, I definitely think that, like, again, as you said, we're building a business for the long term, right? It is an infinite game, and the only way that people know you have been there is if the record states something, right? And so these little markers, whether it be a nomination, it's just an Instagram post, it's our footprints that we're leaving on the journey that we're walking. And although the journey does not have an end, we have reached certain destinations. And these awards and these nominations and these individual instances, whether it be excellence in competition or simply participation in competition, that is our tracks that we're leaving behind. It's the impact we're having on people's lives. It is, it's the ripple effects of the stones that we're casting into the lake.
Yeah, I love that. Looking forward to the year ahead. And our travel plans will be dictated quite a bit by the next few months worth of competitions. I won't be planning to jet off to, Central America to go on a buying trip if we are getting ready to go to Worlds. So that'll be, very determined by that result, which is very, very exciting. We plan to be in Copenhagen for the World of Coffee in June or July. I can't remember which month. I think it might be June, which is going to be a lot of fun. We've obviously got the Johannesburg and Cape Town Specialty Coffee Expos, which we're committed to and can't wait to connect with our fans and customers in both cities. We're also in the final stages of confirming our participation as the coffee providers for the South African International Tattoo Convention, which is awesome. And just so you guys know, I will be disappearing for a couple of hours at a time. You can guess what I'll be doing. But I'm looking forward to being there for the event and having fun with some new friends. So yeah, we've got a big year lined up, and we've got, as I said before, a lot of amazing coffees on the horizon and events and competitions, etc., etc. But the core remains the core. I have a reminder that goes off every single morning on my phone, which is quality beats hype in the long run, and that is the key. For us, quality. We want to make sure every part of our business is a quality experience, quality product, and so on and so forth. And one of the things that we've been working on for a while now is our new packaging. So I'm just going to put it out there on the podcast for the record. There is a new look coming to Bluebird this year, and we are, excited doesn't begin to describe how I'm feeling about this. The final adjustments to the print files have gone off to our graphic designer yesterday, and we will hopefully be launching the new look in April, May, just based on shipping and any delays in the Durban harbour, which at the moment apparently is around 22 days longer than normal, so that's exciting. But yeah, we can't wait to share that with you guys. We can't wait to share some amazing coffees, amazing stories on these podcasts, and just interact with more of you awesome people who love coffee the way that we do, and we're here to walk this journey together. One of the things I would like to see on this podcast channel is a bit more interaction with our listeners. So please do get in touch with us. All of our contact details are in the description. There's also a little Q&A that you can answer. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you enjoying the episodes? Are you enjoying the guests? Do you have any suggestions for us? We're here and we're excited to interact. To close off this conversation, I'd love to chat about our Stronghold roasting machine, and just like what it's allowing us to do, the lessons we've already learned. And congratulations to Stronghold for becoming the official roasting machine of the World Roasting Championships. I think that's a huge, huge achievement. I personally, as the one, touching the screen of the Stronghold, have been on a very steep learning curve. It has been, it's been wild. Moving from one traditional drum roaster to another for me has been pretty straightforward. It's taken obviously a bit of time to get used to the new machine. But the Stronghold is just a completely different animal with 3 different heat sources and a completely, completely different setup to what we used to. I've literally had a few batches where at 160 degrees, I've been like, nope, this is going to be terrible, and eject the coffee and just throw it away, which I've never, ever had before. But the results that we're getting now, and the results that we got pretty quickly thereafter, have been exceptional. The coffees that we have roasted for your competition sets, I think, are the best espresso coffees I've ever roasted. Notably, the La Palma that you're competing with, Luhle, it's just from one batch to the next, I think we opened up like 20% more of the coffee in terms of flavor characteristics and impact in the cup. And that is a huge jump from one roast to the next. So shout out to Stronghold. Are there any takeaways from the coffees that we've been tasting from the Stronghold that you guys would like to share?
Yeah, I think look, the machine is absolutely awesome, and it's an amazing piece of kit. It's very, very high tech, and it really enables us to do some really cool things. We obviously are in a very fortunate position to be able to buy some absolutely amazing coffees from all over the world. We have lots down to as small as, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 5 kilo lots from the Lost Origin boys, which will release later in the year, which we're very much looking forward to releasing and sharing with you guys. But like, the Stronghold offers us an opportunity to really test ideas. I think as a business, when we are roasting coffee on our big drum roaster, our 15 kilo Genio, we have very little margin for error, and we also have very little margin for experimentation because, we're a business at the end of the day. As much as we are passionate coffee professionals who love testing and experimenting, we just simply cannot afford to waste 4 to 6 kilos of, 1,000 Rand a kilo coffee. And what the Stronghold offers us is an opportunity to test ideas and to adjust profiles to a much higher degree. Essentially, bag to bag of some coffees, we can make changes and adjustments, whether minute or massive. You and I have had the opportunity as roasters and as professional tasters to learn the impact of certain variables on coffee over the last few months that we've had the Stronghold. And again, it just opens up the door to like having a washed geisha, a natural geisha, an experimental process geisha, and 4 other incredible coffees available to our customers at any given time, which up to this point in my career is things I've only seen on international coffee businesses' websites, and it has really opened the floodgates to the potential of what we can bring in and what we can share with our customer base.
100%, man. I think just purely observing outside of the roastery team, obviously the roastery team at Bluebird is made up of you, Daria, and Fanie, and just looking at the efficiency of the workflow as the roasters with Stronghold is very, very cool to see. And as a competitor, it allows me to be able to say, can we try this again? And in a matter of minutes, Daria is on the machine roasting the coffee, and it's ready to rest for a little bit for us to taste. I think it makes up a big advantage for myself as a competitor in competition. But also in the business front, I'm assuming obviously the Stronghold buy was mostly driven by the idea of competition, but we're seeing it now reaping the benefits of it being international growth as well. With our business, we're roasting samples of coffee that we have at the roastery and sending them to potential international customers. And it's better to roast less of that if you're just sending samples, at the profiles that we want the coffees to be showcased at as well. So yeah, it's like Fanie said, it's a great piece of equipment that we have, and it's making its value back through the growth that we're having internationally, competition as well with aspirations we have. And like I said, we're very proud to be working with a leading company like Stronghold in the roasting front of things.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And speaking of growth, for those of you who are listening, who are subscribers, thank you very much for your support in 2023. I believe we experienced around a 40 to 45% growth in our subscription numbers, which is staggering. And most of that growth happened in the second half of the year. So we've had a lot of new people join us. And I think the thing that catches us out every single month, Fans, is how many people are moving from 2 to 3 bags. We've been prioritizing putting a magical coffee into the 3rd bag of the subscription, and the feedback has just been exceptional. So we're looking forward to a beautiful year of growth on the subscription program, as well as across all areas of the business. We are in a position now where we've got the coffees, the equipment, the space, the team, everything's ready to go to expand. And although we're very happy with where we're at the moment, we're hungry for more, to give us more opportunities, give us access to more coffee, more travel, and just take Bluebird and its team to new heights and to the next level, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, I think to touch on what Luhle just said, and on top of what you just said, what the Stronghold has also offered us is, again, it's the same thing as an award. Having access to this kind of equipment, it affords us a certain amount of credibility. The fact that we were willing to take the risk to purchase such a machine, and that we are open to trying to practice and develop our skills as coffee professionals, to bring better coffees to the market, to buy high-end coffees. Again, taking the risk to buy those coffees, having invested money into the machine to properly roast them and bring this to market. It buys us a certain sense of credibility. At the end of the day, obviously, your results will speak for themselves. You aren't who you are because of what you own or what you buy, but it does afford us access to certain circles, which is very, very cool. We get to engage with very cool people, both on the roasting and green buying front, because of the level of coffee that we're able to buy and roast on the Stronghold. So it's an awesome machine. Obviously, as you said, they are now the sponsor for the World Roasting Championship, which is great validation to the efficacy of the product. And it's just been such a cool journey to learn and taste and develop as professionals with this machine in our roastery.
Absolutely. I think, the theme of this podcast, even the name suggests that Coffee Made Me Do It. It's about exploring motivation and passion, and all of these steps that we take and the work we do every day is definitely underpinned by those two things. In closing on this episode, I want to just thank you guys for joining me. I'm really looking forward to what the year has ahead for us. We'll be the next 10 days will be intense. We'll be focused on competition preparation, and before we even get to the comp, I just want to say I'm so proud of both of you for taking the challenges leading up to this competition in your stride, selecting coffees really sensibly, building beautiful sets, and the work that you're putting in. I think it's admirable. And as a business owner, employer, mentor, coach, roaster, whatever you want to call it, I'm very, very proud of both of you. So thank you for all the efforts. Fired up for the future. And we got big things coming in 2024.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
Thank you for listening. We are really excited about the year ahead. We've got some great guests lined up. Please remember to go vote for us for the Sprudgie Award we've been nominated for, and we'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.